check, 1, 2. Hey, freaking good morning, ladies. Hey, gentlemen. So, let's transition. Now let's get started. Got 2 more chess games incoming with a beautiful, let's do the math, almost 95% accuracy. 1 game, and doggone, freaking, and 94.1% accuracy. If we do the math correctly, let me do this freaking calculator because I'm on. Okay, so 94 plus 95, so 918 plus 5, so about 200 divided by 2, so about. Let me just make sure I do this math correctly. So I'm gonna just go here, double. 1 game is gonna be with the Fatal Defense, and 1 game is gonna be with the freaking. What's it called? The freaking it's a really low pitch double Spanish variation. Nimble switch. Let's go and do the math. 94.9, so 94.9. Hey, and as we are doing this, hey, make sure y'all like that video, notifications, like, comment, subscribe, all that beautiful trash. Freaking share this with somebody, comment, show some love, support, turn no BL as I do this math and see if I can get an average accuracy. These last 2 games, okay, and the average formula is plussing all the numbers and dividing them out how many numbers they are. So, like, let's say, so basically it's 94 plus 90, 94 plus 9, freaking plus, freaking 94.1, 4.1%, and then you divide that by 2 because there's 2 numbers before the equal sign. Divide by 2 equals what? And then it's equal and then it's equal fill in the blank. It would be about it would be about 94.5% accuracy per game, and it shows extremely high precision. The last 2 games is excellent. So a lot of times cheating in shorter games, the opponent makes the early blunders. However, let us go to the freaking actual study guides. And I'm not sure if I'm doing on chess.com or profile game first. Perfect chess. Okay, let's go into. We're gonna go into 2 different types of subjects with 2 different themes. We're gonna go over 1 study guide at a time. This trash is gonna be in the description. And also, gonna give another shout out as I did in the last video. So with the chest, freaking beautiful study analysis, and maybe the lowest at membership on chess.com. So shout out to you. And freaking, I forgot his name, but I'll figure that out and put it in the comment section down below. So this is gonna be the masterclass on trading and sacrifice. This is the Science of Liquidation and the Bishop Stack, which is rated Berlin, according to the engine of this game review. So we're gonna go to this, and we're gonna go into the laws of engine I trade them. We're gonna talk about the chaos tax, proportional simplification, positional absolutism, which is the chop, and the trade of truth, stacking for certainty. And now we're gonna go find the game. This. Yeah, so which one is the Fatal Defense? I think I played it again. This is one of Fatal Defense. Oh yeah, it's this one. It's not sector, this one. No, we're gonna have to use the other guy because this one is going to be. Alright. So I'm gonna go with the opening, move to the opening pretty quickly, and then we're gonna go into the main points and break down those 3 keywords that I said in 3 points. We're gonna break it down more in detail. As this game takes very long to freaking load, this wants to be a nasty, lazy thing. Goodness gracious, pisses me off. freaking slow. You just want to move so freaking slow. You freaking move faster. Oh, and I have to wait patiently. Slow thing wants to move like a nasty slow thing. And it's almost there. And freaking. Yep, this is the game. I mean, this is a game where no 400 should play like this. I played this for the 400 elo player, and I'm thinking I'm playing at least a couple of like at least 1,200 feet at least. It's only at the end game, but showed otherwise. However, I think now star popped, and we are going with E4. King's Pawn opening, fighting for lectures. E5, knight F3, knight C6. So we go old fashioned Rudy Lopez, Spanish torture, all that beautiful trash. Bishop B5, knight F6, playing the Berlin Defense as a rated 400 freaking player. Y'all tell me who the freak understands the Berlin defense system and survives for almost 40 moves and eventually blunders in the end game for almost 40 freaking moves. Understand how the Berlin defense is. And then has the audacity to do this. Knight to C3. This is the 419 Spanish variation. Bishop B4, double Spanish, so double Rudy Lopez, double 419. And then we castles, so about 5 moves of book theory, and then we exchange bishops on both sides. Bishop takes, pawn takes, I kick out with a freaking A3, bishop takes, pawn takes, and then he just flies down the board and takes my queen and goes into a queenless middle game. With no hesitation. Yumbo took a whole second? Second? No, you just want to take under 2 seconds to be that confident. So we playing the 419, the Science of Liquidation variation, and white has okay, and then rook takes d1. So I have open access to the file. We have symmetrical pawn structures like in the Petrov, like the Russian game or the Petrov's defense, and I'm slightly versed in the macroscopic sense. So in this game, I know I have access to the d file. I know my bishop can get active. I know the double pawns from my rook and bishop is going to be a target. My knight is going to be more of a defensive piece or a piece where it can basically just, basically stay with the king and support him for the h2 spawn, h2. So I go immediately, my opponent goes bishop g4. I go rook e1 to defend the pawn because we could have basically did this sort of variation like this. And did freaking, let's say it's his move, we could have just did more of a Petrov opening type trade like this. Knight takes pawn, freaking knight takes pawn, and liquidate even more like this. And then knight takes pawn, like say pawn, and then just continue like this, freaking this, and then like I'm not sure the exact move I would have made there, but now that's what could have happened too. But let us continue. Move 10, rook e1. Rook e1 defending the pawn, not allowing the pawn to hang. The rook's playing more defensible, and the bishop decides to trade itself off. So he removes himself entirely from the bishop pair. He gives me 1 bishop, 2 rooks versus knight. So I'm technically a little bit better in the theoretical sense. So the bishop and 2 rooks are a bishop and knight in an more open like position is theoretically better because the bishop and 2 rooks can always put themselves on what square is the knight on? A dark square. So what do we want to put our pieces on? Not light squares. So we're putting all our pieces on dark squares to avoid the knight sack. If the knight ever moves, then we have to think the opposite. So now it's attacking dark squares. Let us put ourselves on opposite colors of the knight that is on the color complex of the square. So simply, if the knight is on the dark square, go on avoid light squares. If the knight is on light squares, avoid dark squares, etc., etc. And this is how the geometry of the knight works. Or just basically the color complexity. So, I immediately go rook a to d8. I go bishop 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 e3. Knight to h5, a slightly dubious move. The knight just going on the rim, like has the right idea, but didn't reroute his knight in the correct direction to actually put himself on potentially, like, for example, let's go back. Like, let's say if the knight wanted to, and no way, so like, okay, we go again. Potentially want to go like here. Oh my days, just freaking lag. Potentially go to, let's say, knight to the FD2, to knight to C, knight to FD2, potentially like freaking, what's it called? Knight to B, knight to B6, and then basically try to trade off one of the pawns, the E pawn, to gain access to the D5 out of the D5 axis post, something like that, and more maneuvering. But he makes the wrong idea and commits to a knight to H5. It's still not losing, so I offer a rook trade to simplify it and give me access to the file. So rook takes, and I get access to the D file completely uncontested, and the A7 pawn is hanging. So he supports his knight and gives me to go and get up. No, I put my rook on the 7th rank first to restrict black's king in movement, and then I take this pawn when I should have took this back pawn, the C pawn first, the C7 pawn first, and now I'm just cleaning up a pawn. Okay, now I attach my rook, and I get up 2 pawns. So now I'm just clearly winning because this pawn was already on the queen side. The rook and bishop support is just going to absolutely destroy. So it's basically almost lost for black. Almost lost. So pawn takes, freaking pawn takes, and the knight finally captures on the outpost and goes for sort of this counterplay of trying to just ignore my king with the rook and knight, which honestly was a pretty solid idea. Like, I'm not like obviously technically is going to lose eventually, but the point is, okay, so knight takes c4, I go f3, just booting the knight, and I hang that pawn like a dummy. So I lose the pawn advantage like a dummy, and that's my fault. So I go rook take b7 to win back the pawn advantage. Knight d2, harassing, just misplaced the knight. I guess trying to coordinate with the rook perhaps. I go pawn to b4. I'm giving him the ability to freaking equalize rook takes c3. I try to use my A and B pawns to pass up. And then rook f1 check. I scoot over. King g2. And my opponent has the wrong idea. He should be going after my pawn structures and not allowing my pawns to advance. And then he just blunders rook. And then that's game. Because knight is trapped, and I just start chasing down the right knight. So knight is 2 check. Chase down the knight. Knight to f1 check. I chase down the knight. Basically just forcing and wasting tempo and then pushing my A pawn. And then I keep chasing down the knight. Pawn, and then I win another pawn, and it's just completely game over. Like, it's just game over. It's just completely game over. From here, and practically, I'm gonna skip. Okay. Wait, is this a game here? Yep. I'm gonna skip. Have black try to get some counterplay. I'm up 7.1 advantage, so completely winning. And I go bishop g1. Saving the promotion square. The king and the bishop. MVPs of this game. Stopping the passed pawn in the h file. Shutting down the counterplay. Pawn goes to h2. You know what we do? We sacrifice. What y'all think? The freaking bishop! And the knight gets a counter check. Knight takes g2. Bishop takes h2. Knight takes h2. King g3. Knight f1 check. King f3. g5. Pawn to a6. Pawn to g4 checks. Take the last pawn. And then knight to d2. a7. c4. And then checkmate. The ladder mate. So, as you're going to see in this, let's go to this one. I believe this is the right accuracy for this game. Nope, that's the Fatal Defense one. I decided to use the this. And this one, I got almost 95% accuracy in this game. Playing against Farming Soda, as you saw. Cooking up the low freaking. Okay, it's just delayed. Okay, so pawn e4, pawn e5. You see? The accuracy for this. Oh no, this is the Fatal Defense. Whoops. This is the wrong one. Let me go to the other one. So I spoiled that game. Oh, both of these are filled. Whoops. Alright, well then I guess we'll just go and read the study guide then. Alright, now let's go into law 1, the chaos and proportional simplification. This is also going to be for the Fatal Defense game, but also this applies to this endgame too. When you're up ahead in material, even a couple of pawns, like even in the next game you're going to see I'm up a full rook, every piece on the board is a variable that can generate noise. Forced trades, like, this is not the right study guide. Let me just switch to the freaking study guide. Days. Trading and sacrificing, mark sacrificing, squeeze, I believe this is the correct one. Bear with me, guys. Alright. I just have a high level understanding of endgame traditional theory. While my opponent pressed for the opening map 5 book moves and possessed a structural blueprint by forcing the trade of queens early, he removed the chaos in the middle game, entered a domain of serious coordination that heavy pieces could sign. This is the core lessons for this game: simplification, rook penetration, and power collapse with sacrifices. Forcing of the favorable endgame. Many players at 400, 800 ELO level fear the endgame because why its engine needs precision and calculated. I said, okay, screw it. We're going to play endgame, let's embrace it. Let's go into 3 main parts: tactical decisions, strategic consents, and grandmaster principles. On move 8, as you saw, d takes e3, queen takes d1, accepting the queen trade. When you have better coordination or structural plan, move the most powerful piece on the board to lower the entropy or the variables of chaos. Rook takes d1, centralization. The rook belongs in the d file or e file in the early endgame to control the transition. For word application, if you feel the opponent is saying booked up or aggressive, look up before a queen trade. Forcing to play pure chess rather than memorized lines. Number 2, lesson 2. The most insane part of the play that I'm going to show and for you to use and that I use is rook on the 7th rank invasion. You're going to see on move 15, rook to d7, didn't move the rook, it planted that opening in the opponent's backyard. Like, think about it, putting it as like a c4 in somebody's backyard, digged in dirt, right near a family barbecue. That's a terrible example. Please don't arrest me, federal agencies. That's a terrible example. Lord have mercy. I have to paralyze the queen side development. And then it's temple harvesting. I used the rook to attack the c7 pawn, b7 pawn, forcing the opponent to move their king on that defensively. Every turn to move that they will, the stolen temple for me to push the a pawn. Notice how the rook pretends the a pawn for a distance while simultaneously restricting the black's king and used a multi-purpose move and doing a multi-purpose job. And over the board, playing the rook and 7 leads at least 2 pawns a turn of psychological pressure, or even, let's say, evaluation. And lesson 3, neutralize counterplay. My opponent tried to manufacture miracle pawn with the h pawn. My response is critical. You're going to see, I believe this is it. As we continue in this game, no way, I already did the game, freaking. I just gotta read the rest of the stuff yet. I'm bugging out. H pawn on freaking the problem and my solution. Left H pawn reaching the H2. Bishop G1, great move. The deletion didn't try to outrun the pawn, but mathematically removed its ability to promote. And the black knight on F1. I liquidated the rook for the knight into a winning position. Knowing that the A pawn was the faster entity on the board, fastest entity on the board. On top of the rules, single empty piece or piece is the only poster of their hopes. Sacrifice the material to remove it. Simplify win is better than complex struggle. I outplayed the book opponent by changing the nature of the game. I converted a symmetrical open swing into a winning rook first line piece endgame and superior file control. My average time for moves, yes, I wasn't guessing, but I was calculating the gravity of the A promotion. And that's really it. In the second game, we're going to get more into it. now let's go to the now. We're going to the Soldiers defense game that I played. Man, 400 playing like this though. God almighty. They still eventually break, but yo, they put up a better fight. Crazy, man. My goodness. That's really insane. Hey, I'm not sure if I think I said this before, but as you guys, if you guys are learning something new, taking and understanding the context and learning stuff in a very good manner, hey, make sure y'all freaking download, like, comment, subscribe. Don't be a nasty thing.